Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today we'll be discussing the Supreme Court case of Ware v. Hylton. Now usually we have a specific founder every day, but today is kind of two important founders involved, so I thought we'd talk specifically about the court case, and if anything, today's founder should be the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution. So we need to backtrack first. During the American Revolutionary War, of course, the American states declared independence from Great Britain. And during this time, Virginia made a law that said anyone who owes debt to a merchant operating out of Great Britain no longer has to pay that debt because they are operating out of a hostile nation. And at the time, all of the people who owed money to Britain were like, yeah! Then the war ended. And certain people who were owed a lot of money came over to the United States to do some suing. And they wanted to sue to get this money that was owed to them. Now, this went through many layers of the American judicial system and took several years, overlapping the creation of the United States Constitution and well into the presidency of George Washington. And it finally made its way to the Supreme Court of the United States in 1796. And was actually decided in the last few days of Washington's presidency and the first few days of John Adams' presidency. So this was going on while that first transition of power was happening. Very notable for the defense is that two people would argue in front of the Supreme Court for the only times in their lives. Patrick Henry, a notable orator who at this point was a founder for 20 years, a former governor of Virginia, a major leader in Virginia. And the other person was John Marshall, who was a lesser-known person at the time, but this case kind of made a name for himself. And mind you, 4 years later, the same John Marshall would be Chief Justice of this Supreme Court that he was arguing in front of for the first and only time of his life. Now, despite having these two powerful names and James Innes, who's not very well known today, but was a very, very powerful speaker in his day, despite having the weight of these people behind the defense, well, the case still went in favor of the plaintiff. And the reason for this is the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution, which says that any treaty made by the United States of America supersedes any decisions made by the states themselves. And since the Virginia law conflicted with the treaty the United States had made with Great Britain, the law of Virginia was in itself null and void. And in hindsight, you got to kind of look at it and say, yeah, man, you owed this person money. You should pay them their money back. Either way, one more notable thing about this case is there was no Chief Justice of the Supreme Court at the time. John Jay had resigned in the previous year. Chief Justice John Rutledge had temporarily taken his place, but for various reasons attempted suicide, and therefore was never confirmed as the second Chief Justice, although in the record books he is the second Chief Justice. And that suicide attempt was just a few months, weeks before this case went to trial. So Oliver Ellsworth, who was the third Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, had not showed up yet to take his seat. So James Iredell was an Associate Justice who seems to have taken the lead on the case. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit like. And if you're new here, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell. Put out videos like this 5 days a week. We have fun live videos sometimes. It's a world of fun. Make sure you leave a comment and let me know what other Supreme Court cases from early in the American Revolution you'd be interested in learning about. And I look forward to being back with another founder for you tomorrow.